Welcome to the Think Podcast.
So I heard you say you're an atheist.
Mm-hmm. I'm an atheist.
Okay.
Was a nihilist, but I'm open for things.
Okay.
So, I think there's probably something that had to create the universe. Nothing could just come. Something has to come from nothing, you know?
Something has to come from something, sure.
Yeah. So, what made you believe it? Like, what was the idea?
What made me believe what in particular?
Your entire religion. Was there anything like behind it that was science? Because I like to go for the science. That's why I'm an atheist.
Got it.
What got you into it?
Well, what if you don't mind me asking? What's you said you like to go for the science. That's why you're an atheist. What do you see as being the connection between atheism and science?
Atheism and science. So normally, when you're an atheist, you're more in the science side instead of the religion side, because religion can't always provide science. While atheism is mainly science and is not yet discovered, but still has a possible soon to be discovered answer. So
okay.
I think everything has an answer.
Everything has an answer.
Even if there was a creationism, I think there's still an answer.
I see. Okay, so you believe that everything ultimately has an answer from science. Like science will eventually give us all the answers, even the ones we don't currently have today, right?
Yeah, like we just found out somewhat of a new like physics table. Instead of our elements, we found another element table. It's smaller, it's not the same, but it's different.
We found a new element table?
It's not like that. It's smaller. If you just look into it. I didn't look too much into it. I'm more into looking into the mysteries of quantum mechanics.
Nice.
The double slit experiment.
Yeah. That's fascinating. The double slit experiment, it's really fascinating. Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
It just concludes. Then it gives points to us being in a computer, but I don't think that's true.
Oh yeah, now that's a whole nother question. Sure. So
probably is better than quantum computers that are running us.
So, there definitely is this conception that atheism and science work well together. What a lot of people don't really realize, if I can call you is atheism and science are actually not allies. They're actually enemies. A lot of people don't realize that. And what I mean by that is, if atheism is true, if we live in a godless universe, there'd be no reason to believe that scientific inquiry would be possible. Because science, as I'm sure you know, science relies on a lot of assumptions. Even what you just said about, science will eventually give us all the answers. That's an assumption. That's actually a faith statement, because you can't actually arrive at that statement scientifically. There's no experiment that you could run that would show you the truth or falsity of the statement, science will eventually give us all the answers. It's a statement that's sort of taken on faith. Science itself relies on some of these faith commitments that you actually have to believe before you can be engaging in science. One of them is that the universe is intelligible, meaning it can give us meaningful information in a way that we can process and make sense out of the world and take actions that are going to be, in accordance with the way the universe works. Another assumption of science is something called uniformity in nature, meaning you can do an experiment, let's say in China, and then given the exact same conditions, you could do the same experiment in the United States or Africa and get the same result, all things being the same. Physics are going to be consistent. Natural laws are going to be consistent. Another principle would be induction or inductive reasoning, meaning you can do an experiment on a limited sample of the whole, whatever the whole is. You obviously can't do an experiment on pick an element, on all the lead in the universe, but you could do some experimentation on a limited portion of lead, and then you could draw conclusions about how all lead behaves under, similar circumstances, similar conditions. So that's called induction or inductive reasoning. All of these assumptions, all of these commitments are not something that that are established scientifically, they are preconditions or assumptions or presuppositions that are brought to science. And so when people say, well, science and atheism work well together, actually all those assumptions work perfectly well within the Christian framework. The Christian worldview posits a God, the God, who keeps the universe consistent, who upholds it by the power of his word. He created us to be rational beings. Go ahead.
I want to hold this because it's going to get too far. So you said, so I tried to pick up on it. It was a little too much. But you're saying, like, doing analysis on certain things in certain locations isn't fully scientific fact, right?
No. What I'm saying is that is. No, what I'm saying is, sorry if I miscommunicated there. What I'm saying is, doing different kinds of experiments is part and parcel with science. It's part of science. But there's no reason to think, given an atheistic universe, that the world will behave in a consistent, reliable way. That's what I'm getting at. Or that our minds would be aimed at truth and being able to take in truth from the universe and process it in a way that was actually aimed at truth, as opposed to, say, survival. Go ahead.
So you're saying that we can't predict certain things. That's kind of why you think that there's some type of creationism?
No.
I'm sorry. I'm really.
No problem. No problem. I'm sorry. I might have gone. I might have just. Maybe I should start here. Maybe I'll say this. So, the very fact of. First of all, I love science, and I'm glad that you like science too. Science. Let me ask you this. I'm sure you know this. Science. For us to be able to do science, we have to assume that the universe is regular. Right? Like that the universe is going to behave in a consistent way. Would you agree with that?
Not always. No.
No, not always, but like we shouldn't expect tomorrow.
Yeah, I guess so.
I mean, we shouldn't expect tomorrow that the universe is going to pop in and out of existence 17 times or something like that.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
there's some consistency to everything.
There's some consistency to everything, right? Even the fact that we're talking right now, and I'm expecting you to understand the words that are coming out of my mouth because they're going to mean the same thing that they meant 5 minutes ago, like all these words I'm using. We're expecting the fact that the universe is going to demonstrate consistency, reliability. That's one of the beautiful things about science is we hope, if we're doing our science correctly, it's going to give us actual true conclusions. Like, once you do an experiment on the acceleration of gravity in a vacuum on Earth, you come to realize that the acceleration of gravity is 9.8 meters per second squared. So when I say we expect the universe to behave in a regular way, what I mean is we would not expect gravity to suddenly start fluctuating and, 1 minute it's 9.8 meters per second squared, and then the next minute or tomorrow it's, 3.2, and then next minute it's -8. We expect the universe to behave in a normal way, in a rational way. And we take that so much for granted that we never stop to think, what kind of programming is in the universe? What kind of metaphysic? What kind of reality would...
Okay, so the universe had to build itself. I can kind of understand this. I'm not crazy into physics. It takes like an actual extreme mathematician to understand physics.
Yeah, sure.
Gravitational pulls. But
sure.
It takes billions of years to build these things up. Even if there was a creationist, this is just a question.
Yeah.
Do you think a God created... so they say the Earth. How long do you think it took God to create the universe?
Well, according to the Bible, it was 6 days.
6 days for the universe?
Mm-hmm.
Was time dilated at all? Because that's not really possible.
Well, it's not possible without God. I mean, I agree with you on that. It wouldn't be possible without God. But then again, if God doesn't exist, there's no reason to expect that there would be a universe at all, much less that it would be regular, much less that we'd be able to, to do science in it.
Something.
Keep in mind, guys, we have other people that would like
Okay. Here, so I'll cut to the chase out just because I want to honor everyone's time, and I do want to honor your original question. So, the reason why, what led me to actually become a Christian, I was raised a Christian. So, in terms of why I became a Christian, my parents raised me to be a Christian, taught me the gospel, and that's sort of situationally how I became a Christian. Now, in my life as a Christian, I've been very grateful and very overwhelmed by how much the Bible, the biblical worldview, we might say, presents a framework in which science works. If you take God out of the equation, science actually doesn't work in that worldview. There's no reason to expect that science would work. So, if you ever want to check it out, I've got a website, thethink.institute. There's a search bar on there. If you just type in science, or what you could do is you could type in why science needs Jesus. I recorded a podcast episode a while back, and it might help you understand my point of view. Does that sound all right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I have objections to that, but I'm going to let other people talk. Yeah.
Fair enough. I know we could probably talk all day about this stuff, but I appreciate it. Thanks.
All right.